My name is Charles Aite. Let's start with our first story because this hour, economist and finance lecturer at the Valley of University, Dr. Williams Oprah, is making a case for government to raise interest rates as a buffer against the continuous fall of the cedi. He joins us for more on this. We're grateful, Dr. you could join us. You're calling for hikes in interest rates to balance the free fall of the cedi. Why?
Good afternoon to you and to your viewers. Thank you very much for calling me. I'm just going to, this assertion that I've made is just based on purely what has been done in the books and what is the practice normally done in elsewhere in other economies. So for almost 2 years now, as a country, we have gone against three main international principles when it comes to finance. There's the first one we call the purchase power parity. The second one is the interest rate parity. And the third one is international features effect. These principles are what are used in explaining how exchange rates moves in the world, especially in international financial trade. So in Ghana, for the past 2 years, we have not been able to align the forex exchange rates with the Bank of Ghana exchange rate. So we create a rule for what we call arbitrage situation. Once there's an arbitrage situation, somebody who is economically wiser, like myself, I will go and use Ghana cedi and purchase foreign currency and just keep, knowing that I'll get a higher margin on the foreign currency by holding it. So that is what has happened now. The 8% increase or depreciation or devaluation of the cedi against the dollar means that anybody who is holding foreign currency has gained 8.86% on that foreign currency. The only solution to solve it is that government must come out with a plan that will make sure that people will not be interested in holding foreign currency. And the way to do it is you raise your interest rate within the country, especially treasury bill rates, bond rates, the monetary policy rates. All of them must be raised a little higher to make our investment portfolios active.
I'm afraid we have lost Dr. Williams Oprah there, but he's been making a point regarding how best to shore up the competitiveness of the cedi, calling for a raise in the interest rates to create somewhat of a buffer for those holding foreign currencies, especially when we continue to see an 8% depreciation of the cedi. We'll try and raise him up, especially when others are arguing that the increase in interest rates at this time, when prices of goods and services are already skyrocketing, could be insensitive to the average Ghanaian. We'll try and raise Dr. Oprah up once again to get the exact appreciation of his argument on the depreciation of the cedi. But as we do that, Cabinet has begun discussion on possible subsidies for petrol consumers. Well, as the rising cost of fuel prices in the country continues to bite hard, of course, the Deputy Minister for Energy, Andrew Japamesi, says although it could come at a cost to the taxpayer, the Cabinet is taking the necessary steps to find relief for the average Ghanaian. He's been speaking to my colleague, Ebenezer Sabute.
Now the price has gone up beyond the reach of many Ghanaians, including myself. And so we ought to begin the conversation as to whether we as a nation ought to set a ceiling beyond which the deregulation is suspended for some government intervention to be introduced or not. But that's a conversation that we ought to have. Because whatever it is, that subsidy that is made available to cushion Ghanaians is necessarily going to have to be paid for. Recall that we are in a situation now that because of some extraordinary expenditures that government incurred in 2018-19, energy sector payments, the banking sector cleanup, that then got compounded by COVID, and the expenditures that government has had to make has increased our debt stock to the point where now we can't responsibly go out there in the market and borrow significantly. But government has to pay down the debt and still raise revenue to meet the expenditure or development expectations of the Ghanaian people. Hence the introduction of the e-levy that we are battling with today. So if that decision is taken that government has to subsidize fuel, we all ought to know that post the issues being resolved, prices coming down, whatever amount of money that government would have expended would still have to be paid by all of us. And so we ought to have a conversation to see where it is that we all can get some equilibrium, that gives us all comfort. But there's a price for whatever decision that I'm only saying this so that in the conversation we can situate it in the proper context and see where we arrive at ultimately.
So when is cabinet expected to make decision?
Well, it's a process. It's a process that has commenced. NP has sent the letter to us. We forwarded it to the appropriate authorities, and it's going to be deliberated upon, and then a decision taken. Definitely, that would be in the best interest of all of us.
Minister Abu today interacting with the Deputy Minister for Energy. Let's get back to our earlier story regarding the city. As Chief Finance Officer of the Valley View University, Dr. Williams Oprah has been proposing an increase in interest rates to buffer the free fall. Dr. Williams Oprah, we're grateful that I could reconnect once again. But even though you get back to your main point, others are going to make the argument that could this not be an insensitive move by government, especially when the average Ghanaian is already feeling the pinch of the city's depreciation?
Thank you very much. So an increase in the interest rate, when I say interest rate, that is investment rate, is even an incentive for Ghanaians that now don't hold foreign currency, come and hold government instruments or investment. So if you are not interested in holding government treasury bill, you go and hold government treasury bill. Also, this is the time that government needs money. So the only way government can entice Ghanaians to bring in more money so that government can use to run its operation is to use the interest rate, accept higher interest rates. This, to me, solves the problem of government not having money. It solves the problem of people holding or investing in foreign currencies instead of investing in government securities. And then in that effect, it will reduce the rate of the demand on the foreign exchange, and in effect, it will make sure that there is a reduction in exchange. In fact, the impact of exchange rate in the books, when we say in the books, what has been researched, is greater than even if you have an impact on what we call inflation, because the underlying of inflation, especially like a country like Ghana, where we import everything, is that you are importing other countries' inflation into your country, you are worsening or devaluing your currency. So this is the only way out, as I see it, for government. I'm expecting Bank of Ghana to have a higher monetary policy rate, which will trickle down on investment rate. The only effect or negative effect I see this is that it's going to slow down the economy because banks will not be lending to companies because they will also be investing their money into government securities because that is more risk-free. That is the only challenge I see that will come. But comparing the rate of the free flow of the exchange rate, it is better to slow down the economy, the rate of growth, than to weakening our currency.
It's interesting that you were, rightly, on point when you stated the risk involved with this particular, reform. But do you see things getting normal for the city in the short to medium term? If so, why?
I mean, I don't see this fall stopping. This has been the trend for the country. If you look at our exchange rate and performance, all the time, the first quarter, we see our currency devaluing in the first quarter. In the past, all the multinationals were transferring their dividends somewhere at the end of March, April. But now we see, I'm going to mention one company, MTN, who is going to declare about $1.5 billion of dividends to be paid to its shareholders. MTN is projecting that they are going to pay it in June. So in June, if government, we don't have dollars in the system to help MTN to transfer to their shareholders in South Africa, it's going to be worse. So I see this issue happening up until June, where we are sure that government may have to negotiate, or Bank of Ghana may have to negotiate with all the multinationals in the country that in the repatriation of your dividends, let's have a plan so that you don't disrupt the economy. Because if they demand more foreign currency, it's going to weaken the city. So this, in the short term, this is going to be with us somewhere until mid of second quarter, and after June, that we really see how government will. Normally, by June, we will be receiving the cocoa syndication loans. So I'm hoping that by June, the cocoa syndication loans for about 1.5 billion should come in, which will offset whatever pressure that will come on the city during June. Then that will make sure that we are in. So if we are also, we find a situation that cocoa syndication loans will not come in June, then the problem is going to be very difficult for us as the country.
And that's going to be unprecedented, especially when we continue to track the successful, dishing out of the syndication loan to Ghana. But Dr. Williams Oprah, we're grateful that you could join us here with the Valley University, speaking on matters regarding the city. But let's now delve into the trading community, because the Traders Advocacy Group is urging all its members to increase prices of their goods and services by 80%. It follows a review of the benchmark values to 30% by government. Charles Nixie-Mboa has more in this report.
Year, government decided to engage various trade organizations to solicit their views on the best way to implement the policy on the reversal of the benchmark values on import duties. Deputy Minister of Finance Dr. John Kuma and the Commissioner of the Ghana Revenue Authority in charge of customs led the conversation, but the Traders Advocacy Group is expressing disappointment with the lack of coordination and communication between these governmental agencies and the overall outcome. Here is the General Secretary, Nana Poku.
By this press conference, creating an awareness of this new development to all our members and urging them to increase the prices of goods and services by 80%. Just as government has done. After all, what is good for the goose is good for the gander. It's not our fault. Government has not resourced any single trader in the country to start trading. So at the end of the day, if government wants more, as we the traders, we also will not lose our capitals. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, we are also by this press conference calling on the Vice President of Ghana to arrest the rise of the dollar against the cedi, as he promised. Mr. Vice President, where are you? That is the question everybody is asking.
Nana Poku also said the traders are not perturbed about the support other trader groups have given to government regarding the review of the benchmark values policy.
Is good for our members and the entire trading public is what we are advocating for. So those that have come out in support of government, bravo. But what we are saying is what is so important to us, that if government had gone up 80%, our traders are being urged to also go 80%. It's as simple as ABC. No. Let me explain this. The government is so smart, making it as if the reduction is 30%. It's not 30%.
The benchmark values has become a subject of controversy after the Association of Ghana Industries kicked against the policy, though government has reduced the benchmark values on general goods from 50 to 30%.
You're still watching The Marketplace. We're still keeping an eye on the impact of the Russia-Ukraine conflict on global markets, including Ghana. Today on Tech Business, we are assessing its impact on the crypto market and, of course, the blockchain investment channel. This market is fastly gaining ground in Ghana, with close to 1 million Ghanaians trading or buying investments there. But things have gone murky in the course of the war. Our regular host on Tech Business, Henry Kobler, is lead of tech firm ISOF Africa, and he joins us for more. Henry, we're grateful that you could join us. I'm afraid that Henry hasn't joined us, but you're still watching The Marketplace. We try and raise Henry. But in the meantime, it's Ghana Month. And of course, as part of the Ghana Month series, we look at sculpting and painting as it contributes to the revenue of the tourism sector in Ghana. James Ishan visited the Accra Arts Center and has come through with this report.
So tourism is a key economic driver in Ghana. The sector in 2019, according to the World Data Atlas, contributed 3.8 billion Ghana cedis to the GDP we have in the country. We are here at the Arts Center in Accra to speak to a sculptor as well as a painter to know what they've been up to. Has their sales been dipping, or better still, they are making some increments in sales. So I have a sculptor here to help me know what he's been up to. When he started, the sales really dipping, or there is an increment in sales, especially after COVID-19. Basically, what are you doing?
This is a carved piece. But this it's a lion. Sculpture itself is the making of an abstract form, probably a wood, stone, or anything you can carve. It becomes a sculpture because it's a three-dimension thing that you are projecting. So it's a making of an abstract out of a stone, a wood, or anything carvable.
At what age did you start with this?
Very early age, from my primary ages.
Now let's look at sales in sculpting previous years and currently. When you compare the two, what would you want to tell us about that?
With that, there has been a dip, a slight dip. That is the honest truth. But there are issues to how the whole thing got dipped.
What are some of the issues?
19 is the main issue that is globally, so it's affecting everybody. Because for instance, most of the artworks that we do here are being patronized by the white. But we don't say the white alone, because we have people in here also have money that love art as well. So they also buy it, but the chunk of the patronage comes from the outside world. So after the COVID-19, it looks like it has dipped a bit. So we are having our own slow moment, but for the business itself, it has its own two dimensions. There's a peak season and also there's a lean season. The peak season is somewhere July, August, September, where festivals like come in sequence from the Homo War, name it, any festival at all. So it becomes the peak season. People, that time people travel to come and have a feel of those festivals. So it's our peak season when it comes to that time. And then the lean season is when they've gone back to their various countries after the September, October there, and it picks again somewhere in December. So we pray with time, whatever that will help to get things done across the world works in that direction, so that every business all over gets its own fair share.
I would want you to take us through some of the stuff you have in. If you can walk us through, we'll be glad to know what's really out there.
A lion head being carved. So from here we'll do the sanding and then we'll do the final detail, and then we apply the polish before we put them in the shop. So you can go in and have a look at some of the finished products in the shop, as in how things have been done in the finishing.
Sure. So we are going straight in there to look at some of the artworks he's done here at the Art Center, and also look at the prices previously and currently what the prices are.
Type of artwork that comes in the form of symbols.
An intriguing discussion there between James Ishan and some sculptors in Accra, you know, as we mark the Ghana Month series. We shall be bringing more of these reports in our subsequent bulletins. But in the meantime, it's now time for tech business. And as I have been reporting, we're keeping an eye on the impact of the Russia-Ukraine conflict on global markets, including Ghana. Today on tech business, we are assessing its impact on the currency market, the cryptocurrency market. This market, we do know, is fastly gaining ground in Ghana, with close to 1 million Ghanaians trading or buying investments there. But things have gone murky in the course of the Ukraine-Russian conflict. Our regular host on Tech Business, Henry Kobler, is lead of tech firm Eyes of Africa, and he joins us for more. Henry, let's start with the fate of blockchain and crypto markets amid the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Are things looking bleak, or there are some positive prospects coming there?
Thank you very much, Charles. So I think that one of the things that we should realize is that the cryptocurrency market now ties a bit to the stock market. And so while the stock market seems a bit of downward at times, you would actually experience the same with the cryptocurrency. And so from Thursday, we've seen a very downward appearance on the cryptocurrency market. But I think that what has been a good time is that I basically have been giving signals to people that this is the best time to be purchasing a bit of the cryptocurrency, which is really not a financial advice, but sort of the point where the cryptocurrency market seems a bit of a downward appearance. My projection really is looking a bit on it because we've seen almost Bitcoin rise from the fall to almost about $34,000 to today's stock market, which is actually showing almost about $45,000, which is a very good indication just within 5 days. Now, I'm just looking at a lot of people resorting to the cryptocurrency market, especially for the Russians, because they are looking at moving quite a number of amounts of money, usually through the cryptocurrency market, because most of the power pack countries are taking swift sanctions on Russia, where they're closing off for the swift communications on the banking sector. And so Russia relatively is just looking at almost about $50 billion, moving in and out of Russia usually in a day. And so the cryptocurrency market sort of gives an advantage. What's really not playing out so well is because of the downward trend for the cryptocurrency, the currency for Russia itself, the ruble currency. And so a lot of the liquidations, which we're expecting from the cryptocurrency market in Russia, is not going as it should be. But definitely, I would say that it's having a downward point for them. But people that are really doing a lot of trade in the cryptocurrency will be seeing some light in the cryptocurrency market. And so I'm looking at a bit of projections really high on the market.
Interesting. But how bad have or could Ghanaian investors been affected by, this particular trend, not just with crypto, but blockchain as well?
Exactly. So I'm just saying that when it gets down to that point, usually you would see the downward side, which I'm sure that a lot of the traders really are used to the very downward trend of crypto. But it's really going to affect especially traders in Ghana who are looking at making or cashing in some money from it. They would actually see a bit of downward trend, which cannot really be a bit of surprise, but it's more about knowing and understanding how you're going to use algorithms to trade at this time, and also being a bit cautious because you can't really predict what's really going to happen. Like my projection was just looking at a lot of people trending or going into the cryptocurrency, so even now building new trends or coins in the crypto market. I've also seen that it's liquidations has also tend to be a problem, especially for people that want to get their money out. But like I said, Bitcoin itself or any of the cryptocurrencies has been a major part of donations, where people are sending a lot of donations through to Russia. And so then you could realize that there's a lot of dependency on the cryptocurrency market and on the blockchain network as well. And so the blockchain network relatively is going to give a bit of advantage for people that are developers and are looking at bringing up solutions on the blockchain market. But again, we're also looking at how people who are traders and are looking at the day-to-day cash out of some funds going to fare on the market. And so for me, I would see it as a positive light. It's a point where people could still jump on. I mean, Bitcoin has been a major donation point to Ukraine, that comes in for them to understand that at least the purpose of the blockchain and the cryptocurrency is doing well in terms of its purpose that is set out.
We're looking at these huge volumes, from Russia, from Ukraine, from the rest of the world amid the conflict there. And one is just begging to ask, what happened to Ghana? What happened to our reforms? The Bank of Ghana says there are no particular regulations along this line. How is it affecting us from your point of view as a techpreneur?
Yes, I've actually been looking forward to the piloting process for the ECB, which is going to run on the blockchain process. I'm just looking at how a lot of the people that are also developing on the blockchain can start enacting policies or coming up with concept papers which can direct the regulation. I know that the Bank of Ghana relatively just trying to protect the wallets of its citizens, but it's again, we can't sit when the technology is being used or the technology is in full effect. I mean, you can understand how many, almost about $13 million has been transferred over the blockchain network to Ukraine to help them in terms of their war against Russia. But again, for us as Ghanaians, I think that we should actually start looking at how do we bring up policies to bring in what we need to use the blockchain network for. We can't really sit aloof and just wait for the Bank of Ghana. I mean, it would just definitely go a bit slow because, I mean, technology would always precede the financial markets. But for us, I think that it's a good point where we can start developing applications, looking at how we can do integrations into our mobile application and banking systems as early as possible so that we can sort of learn. I mean, this war has really given us a bit of lesson to understand that we can't depend on fiat currencies all through.
Indeed. Henry Kobler, we're grateful that you could join us for this part of Tech Business. We have more Tech Business on Friday, so please make a day with us for everything happening within the world of technology. That's it for The Marketplace. My name is Charles Ayete. For more news, please log on to myjoyonline.com. Many thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of our programs.